Welcome to the Lady Entrepreneur Podcast. I'm your hostess, Jaha Knight, branding coach. You all know I take you from A to Z in your business, and that is what I do. And I am joined today while we're talking about the Profit, episode 2, season 2. I'm joined today with two rock star lady entrepreneurs, Julian from Maruka Designs and Cynthia from Bridal Tribes, and they're going to tell you about their business. Julian, go ahead and please introduce yourself.
Hi everybody, my name is Julianne Groves-Zandy, and as Jaha said, I am the owner of handbag brand Maruka Designs. I started it about a year ago, and it started because I really love handbags. I've always wanted my own business, and everything just started to fall in place where I realized that this could be the thing that I could be doing for the rest of my life because it's something I really, really enjoy. And you guys can check out Maruka Designs handbags at marukadesigns.com.
Go ahead, Cynthia.
Hey everybody, I am Cynthia W. from Bridal Tribe Magazine. I am editor-in-chief of Bridal Tribe Magazine, where we are about love, beauty, wedding, and marriage fun. And our passion is helping individuals build positive, lasting relationships.
Ooh, I like it that. So we are joined with these rock star ladies, and today we're going to talk about episode 2, season 2, Stein Meats, A Stein Meats. I don't know what the A stood for, but it was A Stein Meats. And that episode, tell me what your impressions were, Cynthia, of this episode.
Well, Now, when you say my impression, be a little more specific about
it.
what I thought about the episode. Well, first of all, I love the show. I love the show The Prophet because he steps in and he helps what he considers failing businesses or what are failing businesses to kind of turn themselves around and become profitable again, to put controls in place, to set things in order for their business to succeed. So that's the first thing that I love about this particular show. What I thought about episode 2, A Stein Meats, is that it started out very interesting and it went sour quickly. It went sour quickly because I believe there wasn't enough transparency between Marcus and the other two owners. And it was like a really sad situation. You could literally see all the areas that were lacking in true business control and interest. Like they did not know enough about their business, and it was, according to them, a $50 million business. But then Marcus stepped in and he brought in his portfolio manager, who but basically told him, no, it's not worth $50 million, it's worth $50. So
they only had like $30,000 to make payroll for the next week. That's all they had left.
That's all that was in the bank.
That's crazy.
It was crazy, along with the fact that, like, to me, they never were transparent or forthcoming with the person who was stepping in to become their partner.
They seemed clueless. It didn't seem like they weren't being transparent. It seemed like they didn't know. Like they really didn't pay attention to their numbers at all. And that was pretty apparent throughout the show when he discovered new things and more things. And the poor little lady Marsha, who called Marcus, she was just like, look, bruh, I just want my job. Like, look, I want to buy a couple things on the side. She basically was like, I just want to make sure that these girls aren't out here willy-nilly buying things. She was more concerned with the employees of the business than she really was with herself, honestly. And I was like, wow, that's amazing that she was that concerned about their business and they weren't concerned.
Yeah. Well, I kind of got the impression that they were ignoring the numbers because I've watched some other business shows, and sometimes when business owners realize that their businesses are plummeting, they kind of get scared to look at the numbers, and I think that's another issue with them, that they didn't know because kind of like they didn't want to. They didn't want to look at it. And there was one of the brothers, I cannot remember his name, he was hiding in the office when everybody else is outside trying to call people for their money. So again, it feels like he was ignoring what was really going on because he cannot face it.
They had a
Right.
broken process. They had a broken system because
Absolutely.
we
Yeah.
talked about that last episode. Product, process, and pricing. I think that no product, people, and I can't remember what the his. Y'all know what I'm talking about. His little
People,
three
process, and product.
product exactly. His
Hmm.
three-step thing. Well, yeah, they were ignoring the process. I don't think they had a system in place, and if they did, it was kind of broken. And as you saw with Marsha being the person that was supposed to run the numbers, and the lady that came in to do the audit, she was just like, well, so what about this? And they were like,
We don't
she was
have
like,
that.
I don't do that. We don't do
No,
that. I don't know where that's at.
see, that's why I kind of believed, I don't believe that they really stopped paying attention to the numbers, because even though Marsha was the one who was supposed to be running the numbers, she did not have access to the information. Only they had access to the information. She had access to payables and receivables only, but she was not allowed to really handle the accounting. There was no accounting
Mhm.
system set up in the
Yeah.
business, or anyone that they could be accountable to. That's one thing that I always have an issue is when there's a business that is running, but they don't have someone that they are accountable to, like they have a self audit, someone to step in and audit their books once a year or something. That always is like a big red flag for me, because if you don't
Mhm.
feel accountable, then you know you're not even accountable to your employees. You're only accountable to yourself. You could just be spending the business right into the ground,
So
which is one thing that
do you recommend that small businesses get an audit every year for their
absolutely,
business? Mm.
absolutely. I think that it's important, um, and let's say this: it's a small company with a low amount of employees, but when you brand yourself at a $50 million company, it is not a small business.
Mm-mm.
So,
No.
so when it comes to small businesses, I absolutely believe that there should be controls in place, and I absolutely believe that there should be some sort of audit that happens so that you can now evaluate how your business is running and how you can make it better and more efficient.
Well, I think Marcus Lemonis was that audit because he asked, what's his name, Frank. He asked Frank about the measurement of the product. Like how do you know when you're doing too many, when the cut is too big,
Yes.
or how many, the profit margin from the cuts that you're
Mhm.
making and how much it costs to purchase it. And he was asking about all those things, and Frank was clueless. I think it was a case of having a couple of a few people in this business that were just kind of clueless. They didn't really know about the business of business, and Marcus kind of highlighted that. And I do know in a future episode that it might have been a prior episode, maybe season one, but I know in a future episode he goes back to a business and he talks to that business about what they did wrong. And the lady, when she was on air, apparently what she had done was so bad she lost her contracts. So they were like, her biggest contract was Disney at the time.
Whoa.
And she lost her
Mm.
contract with Disney because she had been on the show and it showed the inefficiency of her business and the process behind it. And then when he went back the second time, she knew all her numbers. All her numbers. She had cleaned that mess up. But that's the
Mhm.
thing. Sometimes you need somebody to step in and show you that you need to clean up your mess.
Yes.
And what they were doing with the inefficient measurement, the workflow and cash flow issue, having something that they, claim was a great product that they were selling in, I think it was stadiums or something, the Brooklyn
Yeah,
Burger.
broken home.
Yeah,
Yes.
the
What they
Brooklyn
had
Burger.
was a corporate sponsorship agreement with
Hmm.
the stadiums. But the thing about a corporate sponsorship agreement is you're paying to have your brand shown throughout where the venue that you have an agreement with. And when they went to do an evaluation of it, the branding was not there. And Jaha, you know all about branding and how important it
Yeah,
is
it wasn't
to
there.
have it in the right place. The branding wasn't there. They were spending $400,000 a year to be called the Brooklyn Burger, or to be called the burger for all of these different stadiums, but they weren't getting a real return on their investment. So that was the issue, I think, with the Brooklyn Burger. I agree with Marcus when he said that there was true value in the burger, but it wasn't being marketed and branded correctly.
Yeah, that is exactly
Yeah.
right. Because I was looking at it and I was like, what? Like, come on. It was opportunities there that they had to shine and they just didn't. They kept falling down. Like, oh, when that guy ate the raw meat, I thought I was going to throw
Oh
up.
my
Oh
God.
my
What are
God.
you
I was
doing?
like, no.
But you know what, that is what they do. But I could not do it.
Mm.
But he wanted to make sure that his product was quality and that the mixture of the meats were what they were supposed to be.
I will
What
do that after it's cooked.
I agree. I
No.
agree.
Do not
No,
want to tapeworm.
no cannibalism and here with me.
Mm.
But
Even Marcus's face was like, no, no,
when I
no.
saw
Don't
his
put that in
face,
your mouth. Nasty.
and then they played that dun 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 music when he was just kind of like he turned to the side, and we were all doing the same thing at the same time.
Like, that's gross.
That was hilarious.
No. I
Mm.
mean, have you heard of mad cow disease? I mean, duh.
Oh,
No, that was nasty.
and maybe that's why they weren't running their business properly. Who knows?
Yeah.
But
Another issue, huh?
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, another issue I was seeing in there was Frank. Frank was just running around ordering whatever he wanted to order.
no controls. No,
And I'm like, what is wrong with him?
Frank said, I'm a boss.
Not telling him that he has to go through her to get the permission to know if we have the money. Why do you keep ordering stuff?
Frank said, I am a boss. I don't care what you telling me. You work for an accountant.
yes.
I'm a boss.
You know what I think? What happens a lot of times in family businesses is
Mm-hmm.
first nepotism,
Mhm.
where you give people a job because you know them and because you might know their situation and you want to make sure you're helping them and you're taking care of them, but you
Mhm.
haven't qualified them for the position that you put them in.
Yep.
And it was clear that he was not qualified, especially from the beginning. He was like, get those trucks moving and move this over here. And it was like, he seems to know what he's doing. I was like, no, I don't agree. I don't think he knows. I did not agree. I was like, I don't think that he knows what he's doing based on all the stuff that he was saying.
Mm-hmm.
And then he just was not catching when she kept saying it was Donna was the girl's name. Donna was like, what don't you get? You cannot write your PO.
That was Marsha. That was Marsha.
No, her name was Donna.
Oh, well, I've been calling her Marsha this whole episode. I even wrote it down, Marsha.
No, wait.
I even wrote it down, Marsha.
Okay. Yeah, like he just didn't get it, and something like that could really mess things up. Cause you ordering something for $500, but they only have $200 in the bank. All right, how are we gonna pay this?
And then they wanted their money within 10 days. That was the other problem. It was a very short turnaround window to come up with money that they really didn't have. And then what I noticed was they talked about having an aging of your payables
Yes.
or in your receivables.
Yeah, I heard about that.
Well, you know what? Part of the big problem was that they were paying their aging within 10 days, but they weren't collecting. Remember, they had receivables
Exactly.
that were open for 2 years, and these
Yeah.
individuals owed them $1 million. They had
And 117,000. They were still giving them stuff. I was like,
Yeah, like one guy owed like $117,000.
Yes,
yep.
yes, but
I didn't get it. It was, and they were still selling him stuff as well.
Yeah, and when they called to try to recoup those fees or those funds, the businesses were out of business. They were out of service, and they couldn't get people to call them back. And it was a mess. And I thought that was insanity because if you owe me $1,000, you can owe me $412, and I want my money right now. Like I want it.
I work for a company that I work for a company that actually closed down because of that. It was a restaurant, and they kept giving tabs to people all the time.
Mm-mm.
And I was like, why are we giving tabs? We have to collect the money now. There was like over $2,000 in tabs, and they couldn't get the money back because when the guys came and they drank their drinks, they'll leave and they say, oh, I'll come back tomorrow and pay it. They'll never come back to the bar.
Well, you know what? Again, sometimes with what we consider to be family businesses, when you know your suppliers so well that when they're going through a rough patch, you want to help them more than you're interested in making sure that
Collecting.
you
Yeah.
maintain your business,
Mhm.
that's a problem. It is one thing, like I said, if the guy was going through a rough patch with his family and, maybe he was going through an illness, but there's still things that you could do. Look what Marcus did. He stepped in and said, okay, listen, the deal has to change, which means that you have to give me something else if
Yeah.
I'm not going to get paid.
Sell
And
off pieces of your business.
exactly, and
Mhm.
that's something that they could have probably offered if they had known, if the person that owed them so much money and their business was failing or doing whatever because of an illness, they could have stepped in and assessed the value of that person's business and said, listen, let's make a deal. You can't pay me my cash. Let's
Mhm.
step in and I will invest in your company to continue to make it what it is so that we can all remain business partners and family together.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I agree. I thought that was an interesting thing there, going in, and they were $3 million insolvent. I was like, wow, that is absolutely
3.8.
oh,
3.8, bro.
Oh my
well,
God.
hey, I mean,
And
I
then
just I just rounded it off. I
7.8
mean,
on the
one plus the
loan.
four. She's like, I wrote down these numbers. We're gonna talk about this.
let's talk
And then
let's talk about the
7.8,
numbers.
Okay, let's talk about the
7.8
numbers.
altogether on the loan, right? And 30,000 in cash.
Yep, 30,000 in cash.
But almost 4 million in payables. People owed them almost 4 million. They had a $4 million loan with the bank, and then they had 3.8 million that they owed other people.
Mhm.
Marcus was right
That's
when he said this
crazy. They
company's
could have
worth
still
50
had
bucks.
a little bit of money. Look, they could have still had a little bit of money aside from their little the 30,000 that they had in cash. But they had to pay attention. You have to pay attention in your business. You can't
Yes.
just think, oh, it's going, it's flowing. Because if you're not paying attention, you're not going to know what's due. I know for myself, I'm glad I'm still small, but at the end of the day, I know what's still due. I know what people still owe. I pay attention to the
Mhm.
numbers. Even if I get an accountant or a bookkeeper, I will still pay attention to the numbers because that's my responsibility. It's a
Yes.
business. It's not, and while I love my clients and I feel like we're all family and that kind of thing, I still need to be paid because my lights still need to be on. If you want
Yes.
Jaha to do good work for you, Jaha needs to eat.
Mhm.
She needs to eat food, real food and not dreams. So
Okay. Can I just say that eating is a requirement? Um,
Exactly.
I always thought
Have to
so.
eat.
I mean,
We have to pay bills. We gotta live.
yeah,
yes.
and the kid doesn't live off dreams. She needs sustenance as well. So
Yes.
I
so
have to
you
Yes.
buy
have to be
moisturizer. So yeah.
Yeah.
moisturizer.
I got yes. I got to keep my
She just
natural.
y'all just
Um,
what? Y'all just compare priorities
I'm
to
just saying.
moisturizer and hair care
Look,
products.
people say that reading is fundamental, and I agree that eating is fundamental as well as moisturizing is fundamental because if you see this all dried up, you would agree, Jaha, you would send me right back to the back and say, go get that moisturizer, Cynthia, and handle that.
I'm gonna ship you this. I'll be on video. If this is for Cynthia, I'm gonna ship her this bottle of moisturizer for her hair. That lip a little bit dry.
Yes, yes, yes.
Yeah,
Well, this has been
but
awesome. I did want to talk a brief bit about Car Cash.
Oh,
Because
oh,
CarCast
contact.
was at the end,
yes,
and they talked about how they did a look back and saw how their business was from when Marcus came in and saved them, and then where they ended up. And he ended up buying their whole business for $200,000, and then making them licensees of their business. And
Mhm.
they're now making money off of that by it's almost like being a franchisee, but similar
royalties,
to it.
royalties and
Yeah,
dividends. Those are
Yeah.
my
yeah, yeah.
favorite words,
Royalties.
royalties and dividends.
Love the word. You know what I'm saying? So I thought that was really outstanding that, they didn't end up with a deal so much as, well, not a deal to save the business, but they actually sold off the business and then still remained, capable of becoming a licensee and making money from their business,
Mhm.
even though
Mhm.
Marcus, I think if Marcus comes to my business, I'm just say, here's everything, tell me what the deal is.
Me too. I would
You
be like, here,
You're
it goes.
resisting and fighting and change the name. I don't care. My pride is
What you gotta do?
You know
behind me. I'm
what?
good. Just
I
do
you
what
know
you
I
gotta do.
disagree. I
I
disagree
would.
because I mean I would do the same thing. I would let him evaluate my business because based on what I've seen him doing, I trust his business
Judgment.
acumen and his judgment. But people don't realize that business is a very emotional thing.
I know it is. I love
Um,
my business. It's very
but
emotional.
and you really don't experience it until someone steps in and looks like they're taking over something that you're doing. Do you remember that show? What was that show that Niecy Nash did with
Oh,
Clean
clean my
House?
house. Clean house. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
You remember how they would call everyone in and they know good and well they wanted that house clean, but they were so attached to some of that stuff and they would freak out and some of them would have a fit. I mean, it is a psychological process to begin to allow someone to step in and now manage something that you created, something that you have invested yourself in with money as well as emotions. It's like someone all of a sudden stepping in and you say, it's okay, I can have a nanny come in and tell me what I'm not doing correctly. And if she comes in and starts telling you what to do with your kid, I would like to see how Jaha would respond.
I'll be like, then take her with you when you leave, since you got so much to say. Since you got so much to talk about, take her with you
Exactly.
when you leave.
It's a very emotional process. And even when you're ready for it,
It's still
to,
an emotional journey.
oh my
I can
goodness.
understand that because it's even that way when you hire people to do things in your brand. It's
Yes.
still that way because you're just like, I want to let it go and I need to, but I just don't want to let it go completely. Let me just
Yeah.
keep the fingers in it. Like, I'm going to just keep the fingers in it. No, you get your hands out of there and let that person do their job. You already created a process, let them follow it. But it's very difficult to let go. And I'm going
Yeah.
through that right now with the team that I have. It's like, so about that whole letting go thing, I think we do one more logo, one more logo, and then I'm out. You're like,
Uh-uh.
Like,
okay, another logo, just another one.
It's true.
I
It's true.
crack.
I know for me as an editor of a magazine, you know, my previous life was as an executive assistant, as a cosmetologist, and I usually have my hands on everything. And I'm used to putting things in order and creating the process. And then as an editor, you have to turn that thing over so that you can now focus on the larger parts of the business. And you're still kind of like, you know, I find myself doing this, you know, I have to keep turning back to look to see what's going on. And instead of like really letting it go. And then it is difficult to really let go, but you live and you learn.
You do.
yeah, like last fall I had an intern and I was actually supposed to give her more tasks than she actually had,
Mm.
but it was really hard to sit there and say, okay, I can give her this to do, you know, and then I'm like, no, I'm not going to. I'm
You
not
should
going
get
to
her
do
to
that.
cut fabric. You know you don't like doing that.
Oh no, because fabric is valuable.
Sew it up. I'll sew
Yeah.
that fabric right up, but cutting it, ugh.
So he's like, no, don't give her that part.
The
Let her
fabric
do
is,
something
Like,
else.
oh my
no.
Minuscule.
goodness,
You know, and it was
Let her
really
cut a
hard.
zipper.
it's
It was
tough.
really hard.
It's tough, and you can understand why at A Stein Meats they were reluctant to kind of have him step in, even as qualified as he is, as many of the shows that you've seen, as many times as you've seen him save the day. How is it just still reluctant? There's something about that process that
Mhm.
he needs to start bringing psychologists, just like
He
Niecy
probably
Nash
should
did.
because he has to literally has to tell them you need to get your ego out of it because you can see when he'll go and he clears the dysfunction. He's like, okay, I know the next one I'm about to watch is going to be the one with the husband and the wife, and the husband's name was the only one on the
Oh my
marquee. And he
God.
was just like, oh, okay, so you want to do that to your wife? So you want to marginalize her in y'all's business together? Well, let me show you how that feels. Like, that's pretty much what he did. And I was just like, oh my goodness. And then he gave her a deal, so I already watched it, but y'all know.
I
But
watched it. I watched it.
oh, this
I
is so good.
actually,
It put his ego in check. And that's
ooh,
reason why he took the name off of the other Athens Motors. He took their name off of that business because it put his ego in check, because his ego was out of control. You're not in business to pat yourself on the back all the time. You're in business to serve your ideal client. And that's why I think branding is so, so, so important when you have to think of it that way. You are serving your ideal client. Not always a comfortable place for you to be, but more of a marriage between where you're comfortable and how you can serve that client. So when I watch these shows, I'm just like, you're not doing your client a service when you do things like that. When you go and create a lavish, Sistine Chapel in the top of your ceiling, and dang on good and well you need cars. Or if you are with Stein Meats and you're creating a product, but you're creating it in a vacuum where people don't really know what the product is, like the Brooklyn Burger, which could have been huge. But you went and got the deal, but you didn't really maximize the deal. So how are you really serving that client that wants a Brooklyn Burger but doesn't know that it exists?
You are so right. I really think that is about the ego, because you can tell once they got the deal, they were just happy to have their name up in the stadiums. It wasn't about saying, okay, now that we've got our name up, how do we get it into the hands of individuals who love burgers? How do we make it bigger? They were just happy to have their name up in stadiums and connect it with other larger brands. So you are absolutely right about making sure that some of the plans that you make and some of the moves you make are still about serving your client and not about serving your ego.
Exactly.
Yeah, because none of that is going to bring you any money. You could say your stuff, is in this store and that store, but is the store selling your product? Are they taking care of the product? Like, how is it bringing in money? You could say, I was featured in this magazine or that magazine. This is great because you do need the publicity and the SEO and whatnot. But then again, you can't be doing too much of that, and then you're not looking at how you're going to bring the money in.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And they weren't, the business was flawed on so many levels because, like we said, they weren't collecting money. They were just giving away the meat. You heard Marcus say, he was like, I need to come to get a loan from you guys because I don't have to pay it back.
Yeah, they didn't even ask Marcus for his money that he was giving them. They didn't even ask for the check.
It's crazy. You can't be passive like that in business either. You have to be aggressive enough. I know if it's gone past 5 days, because usually I know what my contract states, but if it's gone past the days that you were supposed to pay me, I will call you, and you will hate to see my name pop up on your call ID. I got the phone to my head like this.
Where's my money?
Hey, how you doing? It's Jaha. Hey girl, yeah. No, my money.
My
money.
My money.
I need my money. The child is hungry. Oh, you put it in there? Oh, let me go look. Oh, it's not in there. No. I'll see it in an hour. Okay.
Yeah.
Then an hour go by and be like, hey girl.
Yes.
Like, no, you have to pay for what you already, and what the services you're getting, especially if but fortunately I have to say, I'm so happy about this, knock on wood, with some wood, we knock on everything. I have clients that don't do that to me. I don't choose clients that will shortchange me and not pay me what I'm worth. I don't have that issue, thank God. I feel like when I did my avatars and I did all the ideal client work, I chose the right clients. And I hired the clients that I want to work with just as well as they hire me. And I think that's also an issue in business where a lot of emerging entrepreneurs, because I really cater to emerging entrepreneurs, where emerging entrepreneurs go into the market and they just want the money. They don't care who their client is. They're throwing it all against the wall, and the people that come. They don't have a profit plan. They don't have a strategy for any of it. They don't have a strategy to market, to get marketing, nothing. And that's very frustrating to a person that feels like you have to have some kind of plan before you start throwing it all out there. And even if you have an idea as you go along, it's better than nothing. Or even like I was telling y'all on the webinar on Saturday, I don't know how many of the people who are watching now watched then, but the webinar on Saturday, I was saying how you can have a planner and not have a strategy. So now you have a planner that you bought, it's all nice and shiny, you can bubble in colors and do the markers and stuff. But if you have no strategy behind the planner, what was the point of buying the planner? You're making plans in the vacuum, especially if you've not done the work. So that's what I wanted to, highlight really while we do this profit series.
You know what's interesting about what you're saying is that I think that a lot of people believe that planning and strategy are the same thing,
Nope.
and they're not. Um, Creating a strategy is more about really being able to answer the questions of what is it that you're doing, how is it that you're going to win, how are you going to get things done? And then you can, once you answer those questions, then you can go into creating the plan and the goals and the objectives and the evaluations and so on and so on. But there are not many people that are teaching, especially for entrepreneurs for today, because today you could just leave your job and become an entrepreneur. Start a business. There are magazines that are talking about start a business with $100, start a business with $50, and what you really need is a coach.
Yeah.
And I think that's one of the things that Marcus does. And before he even stepped in, if nothing else, they should have had a financial coach. That I'm talking about, Stein Meats, to say, okay, well, let me just see if you're too nice to people and you don't want to look like the bad guy collecting your money, let me hire someone that's going to do that for you because they don't care.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's a good idea to really take a look at the difference between planning and strategy. And if there's something that you're unable to handle or something you don't want to step into to handle, you might want to hire someone to do that. It's well worth it. It's absolutely worth it.
So if y'all hear me, if we ever do business together and you hear somebody call and say, Jaha says she want her money, that ain't me. Don't be mad at me. Because Cynthia said to hire somebody. No, I'm just playing.
Jaha,
it's like, no.
I'm telling you now,
no,
you call my house. we gonna do it. We gonna have it. You call my house here. Talk about you want your money.
Cynthia. Oh no.
Jaha, the bill collector.
No, the kid is hungry. I was just playing. All right, so thank y'all for coming.
It's all right.
Now I gotta come to your house to get food. I can't get my money.
Yeah, fly on up to New York. Come on, fly on up to New York.
Fly up to New York to get my money, and no, to get a meal. Not even the money, just a meal, just a couple of bites of food. Just a mess. So tell them what you all are doing in the world and how they can find you now, so that they can, follow you on your platforms and whatnot. Did y'all just forget that y'all were on the podcast? Y'all were just silent.
No. I'm actually being courteous. I wanted to allow Julian to go ahead.
I was going to give Cynthia. Anyway, all right, let me go. So, once again, I'm Julie, and I am the handbag designer at marukadesigns.com. That's where you could go and look at my handbags and buy some.
Buy some.
And buy
Maruka for them. M-O-R-U-K-A.
Huh?
Spell
yes,
Maruka for them.
It is MORUKADESIGNS.com. And so that's Maruka Designs. Also, I am Maruka Designs on Instagram, Twitter, and just about anywhere. Pinterest, I'm Maruka Designs. Facebook, facebook.com/Maruka Designs. Anywhere any social media platform you go to, that's my name all across the board, and that's where you can find me.
And then you had a profit thing to share with them. Are you going to share that in the notes for the show, or?
Yeah, I'm going to share it in the notes for the show.
Okay, great.
I have that for the notes.
All right, Cynthia.
Of course, again, I am Cynthia W., editor-in-chief of Bridal Tribe magazine. We just went into print, so you can go to my website, shop.bridaltribe.com, to subscribe to the magazine. Visit my website, bridaltribe.com. I am, and all my social media is Bridal Tribe as well. Twitter, Instagram, Pinterest, everything is Bridal Tribe. And we are about to start doing weekly Twitter chats.
Awesome.
Yes, that's going to be a lot of fun, so that we can really start talking to all of you guys and see what it is that you want. I want to know your opinions, just like what we're doing here tonight, and I can't wait to interact with you. So like us on Facebook at Bridal Tribe Magazine, and I look forward to interacting with everyone.
Thank you both for being here. I truly appreciate your opinions and your time and all of your see, I can never say that word. Analysis.
That's that Brooklyn burger. That's that Brooklyn burger.
Stuck in my teeth. I had it raw. No. No. And y'all both were like, yeah. I'm Jaha Knight. You all know who I am. You can find me on jahaknight.com/entrepreneurs or Lady Entrepreneurs Win for this series. So it's ladyentrepreneurwin.com. You can find all of the, well, actually the newest episode for this outside of blog posts with, okay, whatever. So you can watch us live here on Mondays. We are going to be doing this every Monday in February because these are the first 2 episodes. You'll be finding us live here every Monday on February at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And there are 2 episodes, so you get to watch us for an hour, talk about the profit and the episodes as we go along. So the next one that we discuss will be season 2, episode 3, and I cannot wait to talk with you all about it, and there will be opportunities for you to join us in the private Facebook group to talk with us about the profit. So make sure, and there's a sign up right up underneath the video, make sure you sign up to that mailing list so that we can send you opportunities to join the private Facebook group and have conversations with us about this show. Thank you so much for joining us, ladies. I appreciate you, and thank you all for watching and listening.
Thanks for having us.
Bye. Thanks for having me.